Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inspire. I am your host, Sha Hayes, and we are so delighted to have here with us an amazing soul. I always say that there are people who were put on this earth to be of service, and Janine Saulsbury does not fall short of that. She is a philanthropist, an executive director, and founder of Share Your Life, and it is such an honor to have her here to find out her journey about servitude because a lot of times people don't understand what that means and what the actual concept of what that means to be a service to others. So it's great to be able to have her here to explain her journey and bring about Share for Life. So without further ado, let's welcome Janine Saulsbury. Hello
Hello.
there. How are
Hi.
you?
Hello. Thank you
And
so much for having me on your show. I'm honored to be here.
well, we're so excited to dive into just really finding out about your journey and the work that you're doing because as I'm scrolling through and trying to do my research about learning about our guests, it's so amazing to connect to the things that they're doing, and especially when you're doing something that serves others. So I like to kind of start off with rewinding the tape and kind of going behind before we get to the foreground of where you are now in your life. How did the person when you were as a child get along with others? Were you a person who shared? Were you a person who everything was your stuff and you didn't want to share with anyone? How did your journey start out as a child wanting to give and share with other people?
Wow. That's a really good question. So I am one of 7 children. My mom has 7 kids, and I'm the oldest daughter. So I've always been responsible of taking care of my younger siblings. So sharing is definitely something that comes natural to me, and I was taught to do. And that's part of what's instilled in me is to share and to give. And growing up, it's much different. I was much different than who I am now. I grew up in Harlem on 125th Street, down the block from the Apollo Theater, which
Oh,
is the
wow.
heart of Harlem. And in the early 90s, it was much different than how Harlem is now after gentrification. When I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in Harlem, every block you can find a row of abandoned buildings, and drugs and the crack epidemic was really bad at that time. So I, as a teenager, was very just maybe angry and had
Mm.
energy that was misused and didn't know how to express myself. So I kind of strayed as a teenager and used to fight and get into trouble a lot.
Wow.
So that's what my upbringing was. It was different. However, I was raised with morals and values. But as a teenager, teenagers we do our own thing. I believe all teenagers are a little crazy. I know I
Yeah,
was as a teenager,
the hormones.
and I had to go through a lot of my life journey to get to where I
Mm-hmm.
am now, and which actually helped in making me who I am and starting this organization.
So when you think to yourself in terms of being a child who was pulling in all this anger, because a lot of children are going through that, how and what epiphany or moment did you have in your life that made you say, okay, I've had enough of this? Did something happen that made you kind of pull away from it eventually?
Oh yeah, so that's another good question. So yes, I was kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I was and something happened to me. I was at Skate Key Roller Ring in the Bronx on Allerton Avenue, and if anyone knows that area, they know that it's not that safe. It's a lot of crime and violence, but Skate Key used to be the place to hang out. And I was maybe with 15 of my girlfriends, and we're outside, and someone starts shooting, and I got shot
Mm.
in my breast.
Oh,
And
wow.
the doctor was like, it didn't go in, it grazed me, and the doctor said if I was turned any other direction, that it would have went in my heart and I would have been dead. So
Mm.
that really like God, why am I here? What is my purpose? You know, out of all my other 15 girlfriends, why did this bullet hit me? And again, if I was turned any left to the right, it would have went in my heart and I would have died. So that made me seek my
age? And how old were you at that point in your life?
I was 18.
19, okay.
I was 18.
18,
no, 18.
Okay.
Yeah. And that actually made me want to have a more personal relationship with God, where, you know, growing up, my grandmother and my mother used to make me go to church. And, you know, I was raised with, you know, believing in Jesus Christ and God and faith. But until you get to know God for yourself and have your own testimony, you know, so that was like a transition in my life for me to get to know God for myself. And it's been just a journey from, you know, if you're a believer, you know, once you feel God for yourself, you know, you don't ever turn back.
Yes, truly.
So that was the start. And before then, again, I just kind of went astray as a teenager, just growing up, being a product of my environment, like a lot of young people today. Looking for, you know, just validation and figuring out how to deal with your everyday struggles growing up in the hood. Like, what was that? What is that? You know, and we see it every single day. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know how to, or don't have the resources to, you know, get out of the situations that they're in, which is why I started the organization, to provide positive resources and information to urban communities.
And that's such a great thing to have. Well, I mean, it's one of those things you don't want to have something happen to you to want to be able to do, but having that moment to come from it and having the testimony to be able to share with people that look what I've had happen to me and the evolution of who you are today. But when you look, I guess, even that stage in your life, you know, finding God is one thing. Did you have other people who were kind of, you know, trying to pour into you that maybe at the time, like you said, you were being rebellious, but you felt like that person was looking out for you, that you can maybe call a mentor or somebody who inspired or someone who poured in you at that time?
You know, they were probably there, but I didn't see them or recognize them until, you know, I started to see them. In the moment, no, because all of my girlfriends, we were the same. We were peers, and, you know, we were listening to rap music, and that's when NWA first came out. And, you know, we were products, again, of our environment. So my immediate crowd of friends, no. However, my grandmother, who helped raise me, she was always my mentor and my guide and my voice of reason. But, you know, I just didn't listen a lot. So, no, I would say no.
But fun.
After, you know, during my transition, it was definitely the mentors in my life. You know, I started seeking out mentors, and it seems like God started placing the right people in my life and taking the wrong people out of my life. And some of those, you know, same friends that I was hanging out with, we just start not hanging out anymore, you know. But then I still have a lot of my same friends who we've been friends over 20, 30 years, you know, we've grown together. So, and we're still very close. Yes.
And it takes that evolution, because I just think that you see very close, and but what? No, I was saying you would say you're very close, but what? I didn't hear the end part of that.
Oh, well, we're still very close, and we're family. You know, after you have over 20 years, you're family at that point.
Absolutely.
So I'm thankful to have a lot of those very close friendships that I've had for so long.
Absolutely, and that's what. And that's so true, because, you know, you think about the fact that relationships that you know, cultivate over years, and people who know always say where the bodies are buried and know all the stories and the secrets about your life, like they know everything. So they are the people who you lean on to, you know, outside of maybe people who you consider your blood family. But that's so true. So when you are now at this stage in your life where you have, I guess, realized that the way you were going about wasn't the journey you wanted for yourself, was there a particular thing you decided to dive into first? Were you volunteering? Had you decided you wanted to join the Girl Scouts. What was it that got you into some kind of mode of service at that age?
I started volunteering for the Visiting Nurse Services of New York. And how I got involved with Visiting Nurse Services because I used to model, and my modeling agency had assigned to Icon Models at the time. And I got a job as a model for this organization that provided services to young people, children who are affected by AIDS and HIV. And it was sponsored through the Visiting Nurse Service of New York. So they had this really amazing fundraiser in the Hamptons, and they had celebrity models, and I was a model that they would have playing on the beach volleyball, and they had an after party where the models would be bartenders, and I was hired just to hang out and have fun, you know, and they raised so much money, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is pretty cool, you know? So I stayed in contact with the Visiting Nurse Service of New York, and I started doing raising money for them and creating programs for this same particular program. And they actually asked me to sit on their board, and they gave me an award for this. And it just felt so good to me that it made me want to start my own organization. So that's kind of what inspired me to start Share for Life.
It's truly amazing to know that you got a journey of hanging out, got a job of hanging out modeling, and from that became the leap into you wanting to be starting an organization to help others. So talk briefly about the modeling thing, because that could have been an easy thing that you was like, oh, I just want to model. I don't need to worry about helping others. Like, was it something about it that made you, outside of that experience, that made you not want to do that, or did you kind of like keep going at it even as you were doing other things?
Well, first off, I wasn't making enough money, okay? For a model, every model, their goal is to get a magazine tear sheet, to have your picture in the magazine and to get a cover of a magazine. So, that was like the model's goal. And I got a few magazine covers. Actually, I have about 5 covers. And I think I was paid $800 the most for a cover, maybe $150. But again, it was about, yes, I got this cover. It wasn't about the money, However, I needed money, So I think it was like a stepping stone, because from modeling, I started doing acting, and I realized I sucked as an actress, but I really loved the behind the scenes of it. So I started learning about film and working as a filmmaker in different positions in the film industry. So it was a stepping stone from one thing to the next. And as a filmmaker now, I create educational films for my organization. And actually, our film program is one of our most popular programs, where we teach young people how to make short films. They become the writers, producers, directors, and at the end of the program, they create a short film that they created, advocated on, and they came up with all of the script and the actors, and it's really great for them to see themselves in the film. That was one of our most popular programs that we had before COVID.
That's a great thing to offer that, because a lot of children don't get the window into that opportunity to do that until maybe they've either gone off to maybe some programs in high school, but then college. So that's great to be able to at least give them an opportunity to create. Because a lot of times, a lot of it is just about them being able to use their voice, because they can create in that medium and be able to express themselves in a place that they never thought they could. So that's great that you offer that.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. And some of the films that the young people came up with are so amazing. And it was one year where every single film and it may be 5 different films from 5 different housing developments, they all came up with the same topic of police brutality. And that was very interesting, because that's what they were dealing with in their communities.
Wow.
So Yeah. But it
And that's
also
something.
helped. Mhm.
Go
I say
ahead.
it
It's like,
provided skills for them, but it's skills and training and opening up ideas for the young people to be creative and expressing
mhm.
themselves. And I loved, teaching that program. And the organization, what we would do is hire consultants who are experts in that particular field. So if it's a film program, we will hire film consultants to teach that program. And we work with some
Okay.
really talented consultants and facilitators that work with the young people over the years and help to provide job training and different opportunities for them. So I'm very proud of that program.
So let's talk. I mean, since you're talking about the program, Share for Life, where you decided that this is a need that you wanted to service in terms of providing, for people in your communities. When did that come about? How did the origin of that, and and why did you decide to do it?
Okay. So living in Harlem, I remember there was a group of young boys that they lived in my neighborhood and they will always come past my building. And I remember just walking up to them one day and just started talking to them. I don't know, I might have overheard them talking or saying something, and I was in their business and just started talking to them. And I kind of became their mentor. And then every
Mm.
day, these kids would come back and ring my doorbell, and I would just come downstairs and talk to them. And at this time, I'm studying the Bible and studying scriptures. And I would just tell them scriptures and positive affirmations. And, they would just keep coming back for it. So I'm like, okay, if they keep coming back, I'm going to keep sharing with them. So it kind of started there
Yeah.
and developed. Did that answer your question?
So yeah, no, and I was just going to say, because previous guests we had on were saying from their journey that they will often talk about God and they will fellowship with others, and from that, people would want more knowledge about it, because a lot of times people don't seek out because they're either unaware, afraid, or from what they've been told from their elders and people in their life that they need to steer clear of it based on their lifestyle. So when they see someone like you who reaches out to them and probably are not talking down to them, from that, they probably wanted to learn more and get, your insight into it. So that was great that you used that moment to not preach them, but use the word of God to be able to inform them about your relationship that you were building.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, that's so great. Well, from that moment, so you're saying that you're now spending this time having this connection with these young boys. From there, you went on from there to then say, okay, I feel that there's some connections I need to make to others. How did you then from there decide it has to be on a different scale?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Well, I
How
was
did
saying in terms of how did you go from that moment connecting yourself with these young boys to now deciding you needed to go out into the community and find a larger scale of connecting to people?
Okay. Yeah. So after starting Share for Life, getting our 501c3, which we got that in 2002, I
Mhm.
started creating these programs, and I would just create ideas, write them on paper, and say, I want to teach these programs somewhere. And I remember walking up and down the street and just started praying and asking God to just direct me on where to go, what to do. And I would go to
Mm.
different places that offer youth services like the YMCA and PAL and Children's Aid Society, and ask who is the person in charge of programming. And again, I don't have no experience. I don't know who to talk to. And it seemed like every door that I went in, God opened up the right door and led me to the right person. And
Mm.
it just started. I started doing free classes, and from free classes, figuring out how to have contracted services and
Mm.
how to look for different resources like pro bono services from the Lawyer Alliance and accounting services from CRE. And this person would refer me to that person who offered these type of services. And it just started, everything just coming together,
Yeah.
even creating the type of programs, even working, doing the free programming at different organizations, learning what the needs were for the young people in the community, hearing what their concerns were, and me going back home and writing new curriculums and studying what I'm going to say to them, and putting together pamphlets that we could do in the classroom. So that's really, it just started developing from one program to now us having over 50 programs.
Wow.
From starting working with the young people to now providing services to families, senior citizens, adults, and children.
So just, taking a step back about the starting it, because people think starting a nonprofit organization is just like fill out an application and that's it. Tell about a little bit about the process, and did you get help? Were you able to find other people who was like on the board, or you knocking on doors? Like, kind of help people walk through, because again, people don't understand the process about starting a nonprofit organization and what goes into that.
Yeah. So thank you for saying that, because it's definitely a process. And what I've learned is that a lot of people want to open organizations. And what I heard a wise person told me once at another conference I went to, instead of opening an organization, maybe go work with the organization that you are able to provide help and provide services to, and that you believe in their mission. And because sometimes it's not as easy getting it off the ground, and you can maybe just help this organization that you are in line with as you build your own. So I've been very blessed, like I mentioned, to just always be able to meet the right people and be able to help in providing the services that's needed. So I was able to hire an attorney who put together Share for Life's 501c3 at the time. I was referred to different people who worked in nonprofit with different skills, like someone maybe a secretary or a treasurer who believed in the mission of Share for Life, and they came on as our board members. And this person referred me to that person. And I think good people kind of attract to good people.
Yeah.
So it's been just a blessing from God. It's really have been. I have to just say, it's not me at all. I know it's every single thing has been divine connections.
Yeah. And so when you were,
work.
I guess, yes, that's true. You got to do the work. Faith without work is dead. That's for sure. So when you were writing down, I guess, because there's a sense of a business plan that you have to put together and a mission statement. What was it that you said to yourself that you wanted to accomplish when you wrote down what was Share for Life going to look like, and what was that mission statement?
Oh, wow. Let me tell you something. When I started coming up with ideas, I wanted to do everything, okay? I had to have people tell me, scale back. You can't do everything. Do one thing at a time. You could be the jack of all trades and a master of none, which actually that saying today from a wise woman. So okay, let's master one thing at a time, because I wanted to provide services. What we're doing now, I wanted to do that at the beginning. It took 20 years almost now to be where we are in providing programs to families, but we started off with just young people, because I thought at the time that was the most need, actually, and it's still the largest need, young people needing more services. So it was kind of scaling back and thinking what we're able to do at the time, and kind of mastering that, and then expanding over the years.
And that's great that you were able to say that for yourself. No, yeah, I was going to say that's great that you was able to say that to yourself, because a lot of times people feel like, well, we got to do everything. There's a need for everyone, so I don't want to leave anyone out. So you felt that for yourself, that let me focus on this group who, once I've gotten that running, then we can still have kind of like a sense of a blueprint and on the side, created from helping in servicing the needs of the youth, and then be able to expand it out to other groups of needs as well.
And I'm still like that right now. I can tell you 1,000 things I want to do, but it's really like, okay, put your things together and check off one at a time, because you can't do everything, at one time. But you can put a plan together and make it happen. So it was a plan of action. And again, I circled myself around some really intelligent people who had experience in nonprofit and the different aspects and positions that was needed to run the organization. And they allowed me to express my vision of the organization and help me in putting it together to make it happen. So that was the really great part, is just making sure you have the right people who are qualified. And there's so many people that offer free services. It's just going out and looking for them. So I was able to go out and find the services that was needed to help push the organization forward.
But asking people for help, they often want to see you have your kind of like ducks in a row. So did you already have everything set up, and then you were able to go knock on these doors and say, can you help me? Or did it happen in the reverse?
Well, I think people buy into people. So it was expressing and maybe talking to people and letting them know, this is my idea, this is what I want to do, and people just believing in your idea and seeing that passion and wanting to help. So it was a lot of that also. And it was like, I'm moving forward regardless if you help me or not. This is what I'm going to do. I'm praying that you will help me. This is what I need done. If you're the right person, then I already know God is going to show me favors. But this is what the mission is. So I was, still on a mission to provide programs to help empower communities. And I realized as you help others, you also help yourself. So it's been a blessing to me over the years and currently still moving forward.
Yeah. And that's what when I started out with the intro about being a service to others and people thinking, and I know we all have some sense feel like, helping can mean many things, but you decided to create an organization that would speak to that and actually be the motivating factor for people wanting to do so. So what when you, in terms of telling people to help and people saying, I don't know where to start, I don't know how to help. Like when you think about aligning yourself with the organization of people who want to help, how or what is the one thing that you can say, or a few things you could say that people need when you think from seniors to youth to everything that you're servicing? What are the specific things that you think about that they need?
Well, for young people, I think they need mentorship is very important. Resources and information. They need to know that, hey, there's programs that's in the community center right here where you live that you can attend. And these programs will help you in finding jobs. They will help you in with leadership skills and writing a resume, and you can get free food here also. It's pizza at every program, and then once you have the program, it's like, how do you keep the kids coming? So I would reach out to different clothing lines and friends who I know work in the industry and ask them if they could donate merchandise giveaways to my programs. And, ask and it shall be given. Out of nowhere, people would start donating things like, I ran into Jay-Z at an event, and I just introduced myself to him and said, hey, I have this organization and we need giveaways. And he said, okay, here's a telephone number to my assistant. Tell her I gave you my number and tell her what you need. And this is when he had Rockaware at the time. And he had me call his assistant at the time, and she sent boxes of free Rockaware clothes. And also another friend of mine ran FUBU at the time. And another friend of mine ran Iniche, another clothing line. So I would call these friends and they would just send me free clothes, and everybody in every community that we worked in, we would give them these free clothes. So they will always come back to our programs and tell their friends. And, before you know it, we have a whole community center of kids in our programs, and they will come back every single week and twice a week to attend our program. So now you have the community centers and the leaders seeing that, hey, Share for Life programs are good. They have the kids' attention. They come every week. They're learning from these programs. We want you to come back after these 4 weeks for another 4 weeks, you know?
Mm.
So
that's so great that you're, and that's, but that's such a great, I guess, tool to tell people. Sometimes you just, like you said, walk up to someone and ask them. You know, people think that someone at a certain status, they're not approachable. And the fact that you was like, I'm just going to walk up to Jay-Z and say, hey, Jay-Z. I mean, you probably were a mixed company that person didn't feel like you was going to do something to them. But at the same token, you felt it within yourself to just go and ask. Because a lot of times it is just about asking, can you do this for me? And you know, let them say no. Like, don't beat yourself before the no. Let them be the person say no before. Like, you're like, I'm not even going to ask because they're going to say no. But you said, I'm going to ask them because you just never know. And look what you got.
Absolutely. And also, I remember at King Towers in Harlem, which is Share for Life, our programs are concentrated at New York City Housing Authority development citywide. So I remember going to, a lot of times I go into the development and I talk with, if there's kids in the park, just hanging out, maybe playing dice or just sitting around, not doing anything. I'll go and talk to them. Hey guys, what you guys doing over here? My name is, if we have programs, will you come to our programs? This is what we do, you know, and then the kids will come. You know, they'll be like, yeah. And then sometimes you got to be careful because you can't walk up to everybody, and you know, you can't do that all the time. However, you know, I found that, you know, the young people and even the senior citizens and the people in the community, they're approachable. You know, because I look like you. You know,
yeah.
And I'm coming to you with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to offer you something that can help you and services. So I've been welcomed in all the communities that we work in.
That's great. We also have a comment from Kai Shabazz. She says, how has the need for your service changed over the past year?
Oh, hi, Kai. Well, things have changed over the years, the past year with COVID, of course. And we are not any of the community centers because all of the night community centers have closed since COVID. So all of our programming that we used to have in the centers have stopped now. So what we did was start a feeding program to meet the needs of food insecurity since COVID. And also we're starting to have more programs that are outdoor programs. And I must say something that's really amazing is that Share for Life, we have a partnership with Dress for Success.
Oh, nice.
Everyone knows Dress for Success. And Kai is actually from Dress for Success. And it's just an amazing story how we met. She was just doing some research online with New York City Housing Authority and learned about Share for Life and come to find out that we are connected because I'm part of an organization called The Links. I'm part of the greater chapter of the Queens Links and the Greater Queens chapter of the Links, excuse me. And the president, Joy Gordon of Dress for Success, works very close with Kai, and they just talked, and it just became like a divine connection with us. So now what we're doing is working to provide Dress for Success programs citywide through New York City Housing Authority to empower the women of New York City housing. And we started this initiative right at the beginning of COVID. You know, before COVID hit, actually, we started talking about it. So COVID slowed it down, but we're starting now to pick it back up. And we had just such interesting conversations today that brought tears to my eyes because we were talking today to a resident leader, and she was talking to us about the need for these women empowerment services because some of the women in the community don't have GEDs, they don't have job experience, they want to work, but they're also embarrassed. So Kai was just telling the community leader how Dress for Success can answer all of those needs, and how, we're able to provide these services and help, these young women build their resume with just experience they might have with babysitting or, volunteering, building their resume and helping them with clothes. And that just brought tears to my eyes, that I'm able to help in providing these services. The little part that I'm playing in it is a big part, it's so little, but still is making a difference in people's lives. So I know that was a little long-winded.
No, but that's the great part about, what you're doing, because the fact that, there are people out there that have a need, no matter what organizations that have been around. People know about Dress for Success, but not everyone does. Not everyone knows what it actually offers. And so people that hear the name, and then they may not think that it provides the education for resumes and, daycare if you need resources for that. So that's one of the reasons why creating, partnerships and being in the community like yourself, you directly know the needs. So that helps services those communities, the people within the community. So the other part of my question was about the other layers of people that I know we touched on the youth, but seniors or something are often somewhat overlooked when it comes down to needs, because I know the one time in volunteers, I used to work in a senior residence, and remember how it was so sad to see there were some people who had family up there were some who didn't, and the nurses would tell me stories about each one that would not have seen their families and talk about them. But you don't never know what their needs are beyond this companionship and someone to talk to. Can you speak to what your understanding of what their needs are?
Oh yeah. So I love working with the senior community, and it's so hurtful to know about how many seniors have struggled and passed away in nursing homes since COVID. We've had a lot of senior contracts working with New York City Housing Authority over the years, where we will provide programs in the center and senior centers for seniors. And part of our programs was helping the seniors have a more active social life, to get them out of their apartments and into the community, so they're not feeling lonely. So since COVID, that's not possible, especially for seniors, because of their immune system and just them being more able to contract COVID. So that part has been very hard. However, we were able to work with some senior centers and providing virtual programming to seniors. We have a program called How Things Were from the Past to the Present, and reminiscing about how things were in the different years, from like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and different eras that seniors grew up in. And that part of it, the seniors will really love this program, because they get to think about in the 60s or in the 50s when they were teenagers, and how much a bottle of milk cost then, and what was the music they listened to, and what was the fashion. And then we'll compare it to today, and there's a big difference. You can't even compare music from the 50s and 60s to today's music. So they have a great time, and we ask them to share pictures, and that's an amazing program. So it used to be great when we were able to have it inside of the centers, but now we do it virtually. And some seniors, they're able to do it. They're learning how to get on Facebook, because we were doing it Facebook Live. So Facebook has been a big avenue for seniors to be able to go on and participate in our programs. But it's still not, we don't get the same numbers in working with seniors. A lot of seniors, are not technology savvy. A lot of seniors don't come outside. And even with feeding programs, it was a concern for the seniors who are housebound, who cannot come outside to get the food. So we were working close with the resident leaders to deliver the food to their homes. Usually the resident leaders in the community know a lot of the seniors. They don't know all of them. There's still a lot. But we try to provide food to those who are homebound, that's not able to come out.
Wow. Wow. Janine, we also have another question that came in. What drives you to provide our communities on such a consistent basis? And what is the ultimate goal in 2021 and beyond for Share for Life?
Okay. So I am driven by my faith, and every day you just watch the news and you see this every day, the needs. Feeding pantries have gone up 300%. So there's a need for people that are hungry, and they're like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe that right here in New York City that children are going hungry. Children are going to bed hungry every night. 1 in 3 children in the Bronx go to bed hungry." So that drives me to see what can I do? How can I help? How can, asking God, how can you use me? Like, I'm available. What is my purpose? And it just seems like miracles continue to happen from starting the feeding program. We were maybe in 8 different locations, and each location has been a divine connection where a friend introduced me to a friend who works for a corporation that's looking to give food, and I just started a feeding program and I need food, and they don't know where to give the food, and I work with the most vulnerable community that needs food. So everything has just been working out accordingly and divinely. So for moving forward for the future, I would like to expand Share for Life's feeding programs from the 8 developments that we may be working in now to citywide. There's over 300 developments in all 5 boroughs in New York City. So that will be a blessing to be able to expand our programming. And in order to do that, we need funding and sponsorship. So working on doing that. Also working on building the organization so we have more manpower to do these programs, to facilitate the programs, to help in distributing the food to the communities. There's a lot of moving parts to it. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
That's good.
And I'm assuming also getting donations doesn't help you hurt too as well. So helping people would donate.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal. That's the only way that the organization can stay afloat is from donations. And we've been very thankful to be able to receive corporate funding and private funding to keep the organization going forward. And even not even funding, sometimes people just say we have food, or we have services. I have so many consultants that say we want to help. How can I help? So it's been a blessing that way as well. So maybe someone may have.
Go ahead.
I would say maybe someone may be an expert in a particular field and want to teach online virtual workshops. We are so open to that as well. Is to working with different consultants and volunteers.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. And outside of the monetary donations, having people volunteer with their time, I'm assuming is an additional need of yours. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you would, if someone says, I want to help, what does that look like and how can I do it? Like, is there something that you can define for someone what that looks like when it comes down to saying they want to help you?
Yeah. So there's so many different things that people can help and do. I actually have different interns that provide services like editing and maybe going out to our workshops and videotaping our feeding program, or helping to distribute the food in the community, or maybe public relations, helping us to write media, press kits, or putting together, so many different things that can be done, and volunteers that people can offer their talents and skills to the organization. By going to our website, we have a tab there that says volunteer, and people can just fill out that form and we'll follow up with you and find out what type of services that you're able to help us with in providing. And that will be very much appreciated.
Are there any programs that you're looking to get into that you haven't started yet? Like I know you do like financial literacy, health and wellness. Like have you done like STEM programs? Do you need help with it, like, building the marriage and relationship with those programs? Do you have any
Uh,
specific programs that you're looking to build?
yeah, that's awesome. That's great that you asked that question. Well, we have a women's empowerment program that is really amazing that we're in partnership with Dress for Success. So that's great. But we're always looking for women who are interested in maybe speaking on panels and offering whatever skills that they may have. Maybe lawyers that want to talk to our panel as a guest speaker, or we have a men's program. We're looking for people to come out and speak. Our men's program is called Anti-Violence and Gang Violence and Prevention Program. So that's something that we're looking to really gear up, because gun violence have increased in urban communities since COVID. So that's something that's very important that we want to do over the summer, is have some outdoor events. And we're looking for some panelists and men in the community that may want to come out and speak to encourage young people. We also are looking to develop our financial literacy program. So that's very important, to teach people how to budget and save and balance your checkbook and open up a bank account. I think that's something that's really needed for young people. And on our website, there's a link for virtual workshops, and it's a list of different workshops that we're looking to start. And we're asking volunteers that may be interested, if they have maybe some online workshops that they would like to submit to us that we can have on our workshop, or if you're interested in doing like virtual live workshops. So that you can sign up, and there's more information on our website about it.
That's great to know that that you have a list that people can go to and say, hey, I go right to it. And if you feel like you have a need, that you can provide a need for this service and go for it. So when you think about everything collectively that you're pulling together, what are some of the, the challenges in trying to make things happen, especially when you're dealing with, people that have a need? What are some of your challenges?
Being able to help so many people. So there's so many people that need help, and you can't help everyone. So again, it's like doing what you can. So that's a big challenge, because I want to try to help and save everyone and save the world, and that could be very overwhelming. So just being grateful for one person, if you can reach one person, thankful for that one person, and see what else you can do to doing what you can do. That's one of the biggest things, just because the need is just so great. There's so many challenges that are faced in minority communities. So it's like, how do you deal with all of them? And you can't deal with all of them, but what can you do? So it's just, and then it's forever increasing. It's like it's never never stopping. So that's it too. Every time I speak to different resident leaders in the community, they're telling me about different issues that they're facing, from young people killing each other, Black on Black crime, to poverty, to financial literacy. Just different things that we need to bring into the community, and resources. So I guess just doing one thing at a time, and doing what you can, and not giving up, and also taking time that I need to take time to breathe and see what I can do. Who can I, if I can't do it, maybe I can refer you to someone. So that's a big thing, is me connecting with other organizations, doing outreach services. So that's something I'm looking to do, is partner with other organizations in the community that I can refer people to. And especially mental health is a big deal also. I've been finding this is Mental Health Month. And since COVID, a lot of people have suffered from depression. Suicide has gone up in urban communities since COVID. So it's trying to provide services. And you know what? Something you also mentioned about senior citizens, I find that a lot of seniors take care of their families. They take care of their grandkids. So it's like senior citizens, they don't know sometimes how to or what to do. They don't understand these young people. So providing services to them as well. And sometimes just being able to talk to someone. People just need someone to talk to, you know?
And it's so true because we're trying to find ways to, you know, navigate life. Because I know someone posted the other day a picture that had like a montage of different faces and celebrities that said that this is what depression looked like. And it was like Robin Williams and like a few other people I can't think of right now. Like Holly Berry was on there, was a few other people, but it was talking about that because a lot of times when you think about mental health and wellness of your mental health, people don't know what it means in terms of like feeling it. You know, some people are like, I'm not depressed, I'm not this, because you're still going through life and you're still navigating your everyday life, but not realizing that the weight sometimes carries on you and you're dealing with stuff like that. So that's the education behind what does it look like and having the face of what that means for you. So I think that's important to have that component piece a part of your organization, because it does, you know, kind of get left behind, because it's always been associated with being crazy if you have those kind of issues going on with you.
Yes, and you know, something else at Share for Life, we would love to have more doctors and psychiatrists interested in volunteering their services. That will be very helpful.
Okay.
And even organizations that provide those type of resources. So we want to have like a resource data book together that, and for different boroughs, that we can just provide references to people, you know, that may need whatever services, you know, like a guidebook, and people can come to the organization and we can share that information with them.
And they would be willing to just go to them and talk to them. It's not like you got to pay, you got to worry about you have insurance. Like, no, this person is saying, come talk or come get this resource from them and not have to worry about it. So that's a good thing to have that there too.
Yes. And also job services. That's a really big deal too, is providing job opportunities and training services. And you know what? There's a lot of organizations that provide these services for free. It's just knowing about them, you know, because we may not know where they are. Right. So it's just helping the community find them.
Well, one of the things I always like to ask our guests in terms of their own inspiration, what you draw from, is it a scripture? Is it a word you live by? Is it something that you have to remind yourself? Because a lot of what you're doing is an emotional, you know, could be an emotional toll on you and the roller coaster from the highs and lows of it. What do you tell yourself, or what mantra do you live by to keep going, to keep persevering?
Well, I pray very often. I meditate. I like to have acupuncture is something that I do to help keep myself balanced. I like to take hot baths. I like to listen to positive affirmations. I read positive affirmations and I say them to myself daily. Sometimes I be ready to, you know, sometimes I'm ready to lose it too. You know, it's not always easy. So it's like I have to say to myself, you know, you are a child of God. You are the head and not the tail. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. And so I have a list of positive affirmations that I say to myself on a daily basis. Actually, one of the programs that I teach, which is my expertise in Share for Life, is positive thinking. And through that program, I teach positive affirmation. So that's something that's very important to me and keep me grounded.
So great. And when you look over your journey of getting to the point of being a person who is of service to others, what would you, in terms of letting someone know, you know, how to even get started, how to begin, if you want to help, how and would you guide them and advise them on where to start on being a service to others? And it may not be creating a program. What advice would you give to someone in terms of helping and being a service to others?
I think it's very important to find your purpose in life, to find out what is your purpose. What are your talents? How can you serve? We all have different talents. We all are unique beings of God here on this earth for the time that we're here to serve. And it's finding out what is that purpose. I found my purpose in helping people, and I think our purpose is not one and done. It's something that is forever unfolding, and you grow where you're planted. So I think it's important for people to find themselves first and to love yourself. Finding self-love is very important. Um, Love yourself through everything that you may be going through, your flaws, um, your weaknesses, uh, anything about you that you may not like. I think a lot of people, they're kind of, they may get um, just confused with everything in the media on how you should look. Plastic surgery. There are so many people who are looking to have like this false illusion of what being beautiful is. You see all different people with these, big butts, fake butts, or breasts, or lips, and you feel like that's what beauty is, and it's really not. Beauty is within you, from the outside in. So it's finding who you are, and being comfortable with yourself. I think that's part of it.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's a huge part of it because that's definitely important to have that, introspective about yourself because a lot of times people don't, lose sight of it, like you said, when they see other things going on around them. But we are so happy that you were able to join us and share your journey because people don't realize the work that goes into being someone who is, a philanthropist and a founder of an organization that's helping to serve others and thinking that, it's just about passing out meals and, maybe getting donations. So it's so great to hear your insight about Share for Life and what that means and that hoping that our audience is going to be here to hear this and wanting to help, and finding ways to help. You don't have to be in New York. I'm in New Jersey. So, I'm going to find ways that I can extend myself. So for those who are listening, hopefully you do the same as well. But make sure you let everyone know where they can find you, how they can support you as well.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor being on your show. Thank you just even for thinking of me to be here. I'm happy to share my journey, and I hope it has inspired someone who may be listening. And one thing I must say is that you're only as strong as the people around you, and it's important to surround yourself with strong, positive people who will lift you higher, and people who will tell you when you're not doing good, and when you need to get yourself together, and people who are going to be cheer you on and also spiritually be able to lead you closer to God. So that's very important to me because I have that foundation in my life. I have, so many great friends and colleagues and family, that do that. And I had to figure that part of it out because sometimes that's not always around you, and even now, sometimes you have to be careful who you share things with. So I think that's really important, is making sure you have a good, the people around you is important. And how you can find me, is that was part of it.
Yes.
Go to Share for Life. Share for Life is our website, www.shareforlife.org. And my social media on Instagram is Prosper Love. That's PROSPERLUV. I see you have it there. And that's the same as my Facebook as well. And I'm just thankful for this opportunity. And I am grateful that I'm able to be a vessel. I've enjoyed being a vessel for God to use me.
And you are, and we thank you for shining your light and being a guiding light to others. We thank you for joining us today, and you be well and be blessed.
Thank you. And thank you again for having me on your show. Blessings to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us on another episode of Inspire. We are always so inspired by everyone's journey, and when they share their stories with us, we hope you are getting something from it that you can share with others, as well as maybe gain something for it for yourself. Today, Janine has shared her journey and her life about being a service to others. We think about that in terms of how we can be a help to others, and she tells us how that can be, and you don't have to start an organization to do so, but you can also help out this platform, because we want to continue this on in terms of being able to connect stories with other people and find out their journey. So if you want to support, donate right there at the bottom. See down below. Donate to Keyana, Tennant at Cash App. We have shirts also too available. You follow us on Instagram, you'll see all the beautiful layout of all the shirts. Key's wearing one right now. They have different colors. She had a hoodie on earlier that didn't make it to the show, but it's okay. But these hoodies available, but you can definitely support the show. Make sure you follow us on Inspired by Anonymous on all social media. You can email us if you know someone, or you are someone who you feel like want to share your story about your journey and feel like it can inspire others. Please email us at inspiredbyanonymous@gmail.com. But until then, you guys be well. And remember, we inspire together.
Good night.
Good night.